Hello everyone. The 2025 Chinese Grand Prix is done. There's a lot to unpack, so let's get into it. Now, this race was not as good as some people thought it would be. At least Sky Sports was billing it as a four-team fight for the win. It didn't end up being that, although I think it had the potential to have more than the McLarens fighting for the win. Firstly, I'm sure a lot of people were surprised by Ferrari's lack of pace. Obviously, Hamilton was blisteringly quick in Saturday's sprint, and Ferrari, not just in qualifying but also in the race, seemed to have dropped back in terms of race performance. We saw both Ferrari cars struggling in this department as Verstappen caught up to Hamilton, who pit and opted for the two-stop, and Leclerc also losing out fourth place to Max Verstappen. Now, the McLaren seem to be too quick at the moment, and it is the undisputed best car on the grid, but they do have quite a balanced driver lineup. Norris is still quite quick, however, he was off it in this weekend. Last weekend, he was very quick at Australia, but here Piastri outperformed him in the sprint and in the race, quali and the race. Norris did have pace to catch up to Piastri, at least according to him. However, he had a brake issue which could have been terminal, and it almost was terminal because Russell caught up to him near the end, and if it wasn't for the checkered flag coming, Norris could have actually been overtaken by Russell and possibly even Verstappen. So that was a reliability shock for McLaren, which was actually a strong point for them last year, not just their blistering pace but their lack of reliability issues. It was a brilliant performance from Piastri as well. As I said, he outperformed Norris in almost every single competitive session, and he managed the race extremely well. He had no threats from anyone led into turn one, even though Russell got a better launch. Piastri was just on the better side of the track. Very good racecraft, kept his position, and had race-winning pace throughout. Nothing you can take away from him, and a very, very good weekend from him. Excellent. I think it was also an excellent weekend for Verstappen. I think he maximised that car as best as he could. Third place in the sprint was probably most he could get. Fourth in the race. Same with Russell as well. I think he pretty much maximised the Mercedes. Hamilton was very good in the sprint, but unfortunately we didn't see the same pace in the race. Of course, a lot of this is down to Ferrari having that drop in performance from these two sessions, but Leclerc, even with damage, was faster than Hamilton. And I do think that had Leclerc started further in front, then the destiny of the race would have been different. Although it is true that both got disqualified, as we've learnt after the race, a few hours after the race. I think that these first two races are not representative of the potential or the raw pace of that Ferrari car. I feel like they're still understanding it because they said they made so many changes going into 2025 from 2024. It is at least has the potential to be at least the second fastest car, because you've got Russell and Verstappen maximising the Merc and Red Bull, but the Ferrari I don't think is being maximised as it should be, at least on the Sunday race. It was maximised in the sprint by Lewis Hamilton and in the sprint quali. However, they just need to find a way to maximise it in the race as well. So going forward, I do think that Ferrari will come back. They have two extremely good drivers. Definitely the best driver lineup on the grid for me, regardless of form. And I do think that although McLaren have an advantage, everything can change. Yes, we're in the final year of regulations, but the gap is not as big as it can seem. Obviously, with McLaren looking like they could have done a 1-2 races in a row, do have the best car. We got drivers, as I said, like the Ferrari drivers, Verstappen and Russell, and possibly even Antonelli, who's shown a bit of promise by not being so much further back than Russell, but he certainly does not have the pace to be competitive yet, even though McLaren have seemed imperious. In terms of at least the World Drivers' Championship fight, it will be much closer than it's looking now. I think the season will hit the hype of the pre-season. But anyways, guys, that's it for today. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoy the race and hope you enjoy the next 2 weeks with our F1. and see you in the next race weekend. Bye.